Hi, I'm Victoria. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing the end of the year book tag created by Ariel Bissett. This one is a short book tag. It's just like 6 questions and they're just kind of about the final reading plans for the rest of this year and for next year and stuff. So the first question is, are there any books you've started this year that you still need to finish? I currently have 4 books that I'm working on to varying degrees. The first 2 are actually both by YouTubers that I love, funny enough, but the first one is Good Game by Madison Fox. It's a romance between this artist and a professional gamer, and I had never read one like that, and I'm about halfway, I think, through that book, and it's pretty good. I kind of fell off with it for a little bit, nothing against the book. I just think I've been trying to force myself back into a romance phase and I'm not like quite ready for it, but I am really enjoying that book and the gamer aspect of it is actually a lot of fun. The other one that I was talking about is Peace and Turmoil by Elliot Brooks. I have barely started this book, so it like barely qualifies for this question. I think I've read like 2 chapters maybe, but I've enjoyed what I've read so far and I've been really anticipating that one, so I can't wait to finish it. Another one that I've only barely gotten into is Moonheart by Charles DeLint. That was an author that I had heard really good things about from actually in person. Like if I'm at bookstores and stuff, like some of the independent bookstores in my area, that's an author that I've heard mentioned a couple times for having like a really great writing style and everything. So I've been wanting to check them out. And this was one that an audiobook was available to me on Libby. So I figured it would be a good one for me to get through just like while I'm driving for work and everything. But I haven't gotten to really listen to much of it yet because I've been listening to this last book, which is Daughter of No Worlds by Carissa Broadbent. That's the author of The Serpent and the Wings of Night. I think that's what the first book is called for that series. And I read that first book and I enjoyed it all right, but I am really enjoying Daughter of No Worlds so far. I think I'm a little over halfway, and I actually think that the series is a lot better in my opinion than The Serpent and the Wings of Night. It just feels like more emotional to me, I guess. I care more about the characters. So I'm having a really good time with that one. Question 2 is, do you have an autumnal book to transition into the end of the year? I typically don't have like a specific vibe for like seasons and stuff for seasonal reading. The only one that I have that kind of feeling for is winter, and I guess that's just because it's so easy to be like, yeah, this is obviously a winter type read. And so rather than an autumnal book, 2 like wintry books that I want to read to get into that season. One is Krampus by Bram. I read Slewfoot by him, and that was my first book by Bram, and I loved it. And I've been wanting to read another one of his books, and I'm losing my voice, jeez. And Krampus is like a horror Christmas book, I guess. I don't really know much about it, but I am excited for it. The other book that I'm wanting to read as like a winter seasonal read is I want to finish the Winter Night trilogy. The first book is The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden. I've read that first book and I love it so much. I thought it was so beautiful and the folklore definitely like is my taste. I just for some reason haven't gotten around to reading the other books. I tried picking up the second one once and just kind of got just like it wasn't the right mood or something for me at the time. But I do still want to read them. I'm hoping that I love the last 2 books of the trilogy as much as I love this first one. Question 3 says, are there any releases you're still waiting on? I have 5 releases that are coming out in December that I'm excited for. The first is volume 40 of Yona of the Dawn. I love that series so much. I hope that it stays like amazing. I can't picture it getting to a point where I don't just want to own every single volume. But yeah, so I am eagerly waiting for volume 40. And the next one is Ruthless Vows by Rebecca Ross. This is the sequel to Divine Rivals. I made a whole video like gushing about Divine Rivals, so I'm definitely very excited for that second book, and I really hope that it is amazing. And I'm also curious to see if like any of my predictions that I made end up being true and everything. This next one I'm kind of on the fence about. It's This Cursed Light by Emily Feed, I think is how you say her last name. This is the sequel to This Vicious Grace, and when I read that, I enjoyed it, but I wasn't like 100% sure like, yeah, this is a series that I think I'm gonna want to own. But it was good enough that I do want to read the next book, and so I guess we'll see how it ends up going for me. And then I also have The Kingdom of Sweets by Erica Johansson. That's the author that wrote the Queen of the Tearlings series, and I still haven't read that. I do want to, but it just hasn't happened. But I am really excited for this. It's like a Nutcracker fairy tale retelling, and I definitely think it's going to be something I enjoy. I have started The Queen of the Tearling before, and I remember enjoying her writing, so I'm not kind of worried about it not being good writing for me, you know? So, and then the last one that I have as a new release that I'm excited for is All the Hidden Paths by Foz Meadows. That's the sequel to A Strange and Stubborn Endurance. And that's another one where I enjoyed the first book, but I wasn't like 100% on board. But the sequel has the potential to change my views like either way. Like it could go really good or really bad depending on how this next book goes. Question 4 is, what are 3 books you want to read before the end of the year? And I cheated. I wrote down 4 books. The first is The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. I at least want to read part 1 because I have the kind where they're split. I don't want to like intimidate myself by being like, yeah, you need to read like this whole big book, because then I probably just won't do any of it. I seem to struggle with like making myself read the larger books. If I just kind of pick them up on a whim, I do better, but being like a planned thing, I tend to be like, oh no, I can't, and just keep pushing it off for like smaller reads. So I at least want to read part 1 of The Way of Kings. I was supposed to do it for like my fall TBR, and it has not happened, and I don't think it's going to. Yeah. I also want to read Children of Time by Adrian Tchaikovsky. My husband has been hounding me to read this book, and it is one that I'm interested in. I don't have a lot of experience with sci-fi, and so I'm like kind of picky about which ones I want to pick up, because I tried, I think it was The 3 Body Problem, I think is what it's called, and that was not for me. So ever since I tried that, I like try to really think about, does this plot seem like one I'm really gonna be into? But I do think that I'll end up enjoying this one. It's just another one of those big book fear problems, I guess. One that I don't have a copy of is The Will of the Many by James Islington, I think. I've heard a lot of amazing things about this book recently on BookTube everywhere, and it sounds like it could be a lot of fun. I don't know if it'll be like a favorite, but I'm definitely down to try it out. And last but not least, I want to read Dark Rise by C.S. Pacat. It's the first book in this series that she's doing. The second book just came out recently, and I have had this book for a while and was planning to read it before the second one came out, and it just hasn't happened. So now I'm gonna read this before deciding that I'm gonna like buy the second one. But I really want to read this because this author wrote the Captive Prince trilogy, which I'm just gonna say, this sells in the romance section at Barnes & Noble and stuff. And there is a romance in it, but to me, this is not a romance story. It is a political royal drama that is very like dark, and the romance, in my opinion, is a subplot. And I think it's amazing. I think that the author is very talented at that political maneuvering stuff. And so because that is such a strong suit to me for this romance series, I think that there's a good chance for those to be strong suits for the series as well. Question 5 says, is there a book you think could still shock you and become your favorite of the year? I think that is probably unlikely, but if it's going to happen, I think the ones that have the best chance are probably The Way of Kings and The Kingdom of Sweets. The Way of Kings, I've already read a couple of Brandon Sanderson's other books, so I know that I like his storytelling style and everything, and I do want to find another epic, you know, that I love. And so if I'm going to find one, it would probably be his, I would imagine. And then the Kingdom of Sweets, I love fairy tale retellings, and that author is one that I know is loved by like many people, and I've read a little bit of one of her books. That wasn't like a DNF for like not liking the book. I think I just got busy or something. Holy cow, I'm losing my voice. But yeah, so I think those two stand the best chance if one is going to become like a new favorite of the year. And then the last question is, have you started making any reading plans for 2024? And honestly, my main reading goal for 2024 is I really want to wrap up like a lot of my open series. I have a lot of open series. I'm thinking about doing a video just talking about all the different ones that I haven't finished that I plan to, not like going into DNFs and everything. But specifically, one that I'm excited for is the Black Witch Chronicles, and I've read up to The Demon Tide. That is by Laurie Forest, and so I haven't read this one yet. And then I think it's going to be the last book of the series, comes out next year. So I want to finish this. It doesn't have to be this year, but I want to finish this and then read that one. And I'm really excited for that because I really love that series. But overall, I just have a lot of series that I've enjoyed where I've only read like a book or two. Even though I love the series, I just get distracted by having so many options. So that's kind of my main goal, I guess, for the year. Oh, and maybe to like push myself to try out some of like the big fantasy names, like the epics and stuff, like the Dandelion Dynasty, is that what it's called? Like all of those type of books. I have always been like really interested in a lot of the ones I hear about, but then they'll be like that big and I'll be like scared, I guess, to read them even though I want to. So I guess that's another goal, is to like kind of push myself to work through them. But yeah, so that was all the questions. Feel free to let me know any of y'all's answers if you want to put them in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye.